a special guest tonight. He was actually briefly up here, like a meteor flashing before you, like a superhero flying through the sky. We want to bring him up again because we barely grazed the surface, and we're not doing it because we I don't know. I'm not Tony Danza. I'm not bringing up people with recipes. I figure the podcast technology is it's for doing stuff you can't do on TV, and one of those things is like kind of laying humanity bare. And one of the craziest things about humanity, and one of the biggest elephants in the room, is sickness, mortality, conditions. Like the stuff that we fear the most. And there are people among us who are tethered to us with a rope and are hanging out on the precipice of these things that we kind of like we fear so much that it's just more convenient not to think about them. And you would think that would not make for good podcast material, but I have a feeling like it's really important to talk to this guy. You saw him last week. Let's bring Siike Donnelly up here. How are you doing? You said you had a rough night, but you were cool to come in today.
Yeah, can I stand?
Yeah. What happens when you sit?
Honestly, I was in a wheelchair for a long time. So, but when I was learning to walk again, so I have this. When I sit for too long, I freak out.
Oh my God! So you had to relearn how to walk after the. Okay, so let's explain from the top. So, Siike, you one day you had an aneurysm, which is an explosion in the brain.
Yeah, I was wiping my butt at LAX with the door open. And,
good one. You could still do. It didn't wipe out the callback part.
No, we were just walking. I went to dinner with some friends. I was complaining about a migraine. I've had migraine since I was 8 years old, so we didn't think that anything was different about it. And then we were going out for the night, and then I just dropped to the ground.
You just fell down at LAX or somewhere else?
No. Just back home.
Just at your house.
Yeah.
Was it? Did you feel pain when you fell down?
I don't remember any of it. I barely remember waking up in the hospital, and then the doctor apparently talked to me and said, there's some complications with what's going on to you. We need to put you in a medically induced coma. We don't know for how long. Which
means they give you drugs that just make you unconscious for a while.
I'm just gone. Yeah, for 11 days I was out. I was only supposed to be out for 6 or 7 days, but then there was another complication, and I flatlined. And then they saved me, and then I was in for another 5 days.
And so during this medically induced coma, they studied your brain a little bit, enough to tell you what had happened?
Well, yeah. And while I was under, they also did a couple procedures to save my life. So they did a process called coiling, which is they actually don't go through your brain to do this. It's going to sound weird. They make an incision in your leg, and they go straight up to your brain, and they put these coils, and these coils are like little copper tubes that, when an aneurysm happens, blood is pouring all over your brain, and so everything the blood touches, it's destroying, and so these coils go in and they reroute the blood so that it's not.
How do they get? How do they get a coil from your leg to your brain? How does it follow any path?
I'm not.
Okay, good. You're not the guy to ask. We'll have a doctor.
I'll bring my doctor one night.
But I mean, to interject at this point, this is. I'm sure I speak for most people in the audience. Even beyond, I think, getting certain types of cancer or something, this represents like a worst nightmare because it's so uncontrollable. It's just you're just suddenly told, you're walking along, everything's going fine, you black out, you wake up in a hospital, and they're telling you, yeah, a thing just is happening, and then it gets worse because now you've been told that they don't know why, but you're having them repeatedly.
Right.
They keep happening.
Yeah, I keep having new aneurysms grow. And they can't figure out why, because mostly it's a genetic thing. For a guy my age, I was 28 when I had mine, and they were like, we can't even figure out why this happened to you, because they're like, it's a lot. The percentage is higher in African American men that age, or in women that age, or everybody but me, I guess. And so they couldn't figure out why. And then they looked at my family history. No one on my father's side, no one on my mother's side, and so they're like, we don't know what this is. We don't know if this is an evolution of what happens to aneurysms. We don't know what it is, but that's why they kind of poke and probe and study.
Yeah, and the only silver lining of that, with a giant 6-foot quotes around silver lining, is that because they don't know what's going on, they're actually giving you like free treatment because they're kind of guinea pigging you, figuring out what's going on.
So you had one aneurysm that actually exploded.
Yeah, it ruptured, and then they found at Christmas time, last time I think I spoke to you, and I was pretty heartbroken. They found 3 more
that's like a weak spot in a blood vessel, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a clot in a way. It's like it's weak tissue that might
explode.
When they find them, then are they able to do something?
Yeah. There's you can do lasers. There's another coiling type process. There's a couple different options, but it's always good to catch them. It's treatable when you catch them.
So, and I think the most tragic thing, the thing that made Aaron burst into tears up here hearing about it for 5 seconds last week, is this concept that your temporal lobe was flooded.
Yeah.
And that one thing that got wiped out was your visual memory, and you're an artist, and so like everything that you draw is affected by the concept of visual memory. That you can't use the example of an apple in private conversation, right? Like
when I close my eyes, I actually don't know what you look like anymore. So I don't. When I wake up, I don't remember dreams. I don't have. I have knowledge of stuff.
Close your eyes for a second. Okay. I look like Ewan McGregor. Just roughly. I mean, I do. I'm just letting you know.
Don't exploit him, Dan.
I'm not capitalizing on anything. I'm just clarifying for the audience.
I don't know what he looks like.
But also, like, if you were...
You assume that he remembered Ewan McGregor and not you.
Oh, yeah. Ewan McGregor.
But even worse than that, like, fundamentally... You might not know what an apple looks like, right?
No, yeah. I mean, unless I'm holding it or looking at it.
Right. Yeah. So you're seeing these things for the first time.
And it's total. It's 100%. There's no visual memory at all.
No, it's weird because I'll see somebody and I'll say hey to them and they'll go, "How the hell does he remember me?" But it's I don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't remember. Like I ran into Anthony today, and and Spencer, and I knew who they were, but I can't explain why.
Through mannerism, maybe?
Maybe that, or someone was saying about energies, because I'm new to that concept.
Yeah, that's something about face blindness, that people have that lack of, there's a thing in a part of your brain that uses visual recognition, and there are people that they've known for their entire lives, and they have to reintroduce themselves every day to them. But if they hear a cough that you had the other day, or there's certain little signals.
Talking helps. Like if I hear someone talk enough, I'm like, in another room, I'm like, oh, I know that's so-and-so.
And it's Dan and I.
Because there's a post-it on your brain going, that's my uncle. That person that's talking in the other room.
No, the family thing is the hardest because most of my actual memories and knowledge of memories they go only back like 5-6 years.
Right.
So like childhood, a lot of stuff was wiped out.
And you talked about sitting down with your mom. Yeah. I'm just going all the way, by the way. This is like...
I'll make a joke at some point.
No. Don't worry about that. I was talking to you after the show last week, and I just thought, like, what the fuck are we doing with this podcast technology if we're not, like, and it's not of any heroism on my part or nobility. I was just thinking, what are we doing? Like, this is something that's not televisable because it's not like who's going to tune in? I'd like to hear about this, and yet it is mythologically like this is what we all are afraid of. You were in a certain sense like more so than somebody who's diagnosed with there's a microorganism that's eating away at this certain organ or something like that. This is happening in your brain. It's happening in your plumbing of your brain, and so you were talking about you're sitting with a scrapbook with your mom, like a photo scrapbook, and going through it with her. And do you want to finish this?
Basically, on Aaron's thing, it sucks because I actually don't like when people cry.
Right.
And it's a response I don't actually have a lot because there's some emotional damage too in my.
Well, that was going to be my next question, but first of all, don't worry about us. That's why you're up here. Actually, I don't want laughs. I just want a cathartic experience.
Sure. Well, with Erin though, what I told her last week was I've been trying to find a cheat way around the drawing. So what I'll do is I'll take a blue pencil and I'll just keep drawing shapes, like circles or whatever. And once it's in a position to where I think there's something there, I take a regular pencil and go over it, and then I've made like the side of a face, and then I'll do more circles in blue, and then I'll trace that again. And it's weird. It's not foolproof yet, but it's like I hate being told I can't. Like my first doctors were like, you can't. You're not going to walk. You're not going to talk. And I'm like, bullshit. Like my life isn't going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Like I'm not going to just sit and be someone who my mom puts on the porch to watch cars go by while she's at work. Like I'm not just that. I'm going to be something else. Like if I'm not going to be the old me, I'm going to be a new me.
And we made you a T-shirt for that reason. But you talked about like going through the photo album, and I mean the thing that like made my heart like leap up into my throat or down into my groin or whatever was the you said, the way I remember you saying it is, having no visual memory, you're going through a photo scrapbook with your mom, and she's saying this is when we did this, and you're basically having to take her word for it. Like intellectually that she's your mom, but you don't
I knew she
actually.
wasn't lying when she said I'm your mom.
Right. There's no reason.
That's all.
It'd be the lowest stakes con game in the world.
Yeah.
They're not getting away with a lot.
No. Yeah.
In their Swiss bank account.
But even with your mother, you're seeing her for the first time every time you see her, and it's simply memorizing.
Every time you're not forming new visual memories of her.
It's a lot of that's.
And so, as you said, you said like your life here in LA has spanned the last 5-6 years.
So I remember them knowledge-wise. Like I know that I used to PA out here, but I couldn't tell you visually what the person I PA'd for looks like, but I have the knowledge of it.
But ironically, this horrible empty desert, where we all come to like put our emotional lives on hold while we try to get ahead in the world, this is actually your cradle of memory. This is as close as you have to home, because this is the place you've been for 6 years. This is your family.
Yeah, this is where I got back up on my feet. I recently, like a year ago, had to get my driver's license back. This is where I rebuilt.
So I mean, we have to go to the deepest place of all. Like what have they told you in terms of prognosis? Have they told you what to expect in terms of mortality?
At first I didn't want to know, so I kept telling them not to tell me. And then it got to a point at Christmas time this past year where I think it was the first time, because they couldn't figure out what happened, like right after the aneurysm, normally you'll go through a state of depression, and some of the outcomes of it are fatigue, you get tired, there's a lot of things like that. I'm always in pain. I have a headache every single day, so trying to deal with people and with a smile is probably, I think I found a way to do it with ease for once. But at first it was really hard. And then I think... I'm sorry. I actually forgot the original question.
Well, I mean, did they tell you?
Oh, yeah. So then I said, well, I don't want to know. And then in Christmas time, they were like, well, we found 3 more in your head. And to me, I don't know the actual comparison. I just know that it is a comparison. I was like, well, one of these things pretty much almost killed me. So I was like, well, this is like my Vietnam, and now I have 3 of them. And I'm like, so, I mean, I may have proved that I'm tough on one level, but I'm not going to survive 3 if this happens again. And then luckily they've died down. We did a couple procedures, and I'm back to doing okay. But they.
So for all anyone knows, because you're such a weird mystery to these people.
Yeah, I mean, I could still go. I could not wake up tomorrow morning,
Right. Or you could be the 4 aneurysm guy whose last 3 they caught because you're such an oddball, and but
also it's so mysterious is that you're standing up here and you look like you could be anybody in the room. It's not like you look debilitated. I mean, you say inwardly you're in pain and stuff like that, but it's
yeah. Sometimes you'll notice I hunch. It's hard sometimes to make eye contact because there's someone tried to explain it to me like a low level of autism, because sometimes they have that, but I feel when I'm comfortable around people it's not a big deal, but crowds I can kind of just feel all the attention.
You're at Nerd Melt. There's no eye contact going on in here at all.
You found the right place.
You just if you want to be looked at, dress like shoelaces.
Yeah.
want to be looked at just like shoelaces. Is there? I mean, I want to ask you. Like, I hope you're not offended by my characterization of you as somebody who is like tethered to us but somewhere else, like who somewhere beyond, like the place that we have the luxury of just not thinking about in line at the bank. Like I was like, shit, I had a bad day today, I should I propose to my girlfriend? I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. My car's out of gas. There's always this like Independence Day flying saucer hovering in the sky that is blacking out the sun, but completely ignorable day to day for all of us, which is that we live minute to minute, second to second, by the grace of some completely unforgiving, absolutely inhuman thing. And I just we just don't like it's uncomfortable to ask people who are further in the clutches of this thing, further at its mercy in a demonstrable way. But it seems important to ask, like, what do we do? How do we feel? How do you feel? What message can you give to us that in any way like lets us stop fucking around? I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, by the way, Soulstar has his powers on page 1. None of that page 20.
So get your powers before page 20.
Yeah. Speed it up, Hollywood. I don't know. There's a message in the book that I think resonates, so I tell people all the time. It's just give more to the world than what you take.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I just do what you love and don't hurt anyone. It sounds generic, but it's like I'm at the point now where I'm not afraid of if I don't wake up tomorrow. I still try to do everything I want to do in a day that I physically can, and I just hope it's enough, And I think that's all any of us can do. There's no cosmic right answer here.
I think that was it. I think that does it. Give more than you take. That absolutely has to be the answer. I mean, I know it's under all our noses, but like we don't believe it when our mom says it because she's in the kitchen making cookies, and we need heroes to take the trek and call back over their shoulder. This is the truth.
It was interesting when you told me that last week because I've heard people try to describe me, and normally I don't like it.
Well, you look like Ewan McGregor, just so you know.
I would love to see some of your art. Is there a way that we can commission some for us or for something that we can see something you draw? Can we see I want to see the blue test lines that are inked in later on.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah,
my dad's a really good artist, but he's really sketchy. I'd watch him draw, and he would draw a million lines really light, and then he would hone in and go, boom, and then draw a line.
Yeah.
So it was covered in lines, and then he would find it.
Yeah.
So it sounds exactly like that. That's kind of in a way like mentally how I approach a lot of things. So I'd love to see visually that art approach.
It's just trial by error. I mean, the way I look at it is if I have to physically see something to draw it, then I'll just keep drawing it until it makes sense. I tried looking at things, and there seems to be a slight translation disconnect, but I'm getting better at it. Like if someone sat in front of me and I could draw their face, it would take a while. Because I'm actually trying to use a part of the brain that isn't there anymore for me. So it's like, you can feel it. Like when I draw, I feel it like big time.
But if you wanted to,
you feel the gap that exists?
I feel like the strain that it's taking to transfer this to this with nothing up here,
So if you wanted to draw something from memory, like say that you wanted to draw like a car or draw a banana or anything, there's nothing you're conjuring up in your head. Is it you're waiting until you see it and that reminds you of the thing? Wow.
Like I cheated recently. I have an art show downtown. It's going to end this week, and I cheated. Someone was standing near me, and there was a draw. Go over and draw on the wall kind of thing. And I was looking at him and drawing, and I just made him a zombie, But I was like, as I'm like doing the circles and stuff, I'm like, a hole was in his cheek, And so I drew a couple teeth there, but I'm looking at him and doing it, and someone was like, "Oh my God, you did it from memory!" And I just like, I don't know, I felt so nice to hear that I think I I kind of lied and was just like, yeah, cool, and then just to feel like my old self again, I guess.
But now what you're drawing is it completely? You have to be. You're forced to be totally in the moment. You're drawing something for the first time every time. So that to me seems like something that can be really like valuable and like visceral to like look at.
Yeah. So what are you complaining about?
Yeah.
You've been given this gift. I know. You know, white people with aneurysm problems.
Yeah. Well, that's what I try to do. I mean, I've met people, you know, who have it much, much worse, you know, who didn't get out of that.
Is there a community out there?
Oh yeah, there's a great group at UCLA that meets like twice a month, and then there's a group on Facebook that I'm part of that we, you know, share our stories on there. And I go to, you know, ICUs and I meet people who have this, you know, who are going through it, and I took some of their stories and I put it in Soulstar just to make the book a little bit more special. And then, obviously, I give all the proceeds to the Aneurysm Foundation because that's another way I just want to give back. And, you know, again, just me trying to give more. I think before I had my aneurysm, I was probably the kind of guy that took enough. And so I kind of look at this as a second chance.
Yeah. And people can Google the Aneurysm Foundation if they wanted to, you know, be inspired by this podcast to put something into it. Okay, well, thank you so much, Siike, for coming up. And we'll have you back periodically. I'm not a hugger. I don't hug people enough.
We've hugged a couple times.
If anybody should be hugged, I should have hugged Siike. I didn't.
He's coming back up.
All right,
he's coming back up. Yes. I want to hug. Now you have to hug everybody in this room.
All right. Well, we're not gonna. That you see why I flipped those segments. I didn't follow that with the complaining about the valet's dollar. Our next segment is called "My Favorite Cereals." I think Lucky Charms is underrated.